All right. How you doing, Carl? Today is Sunday. It's the day after the Tesla takedown protest, which was a flop. I got some video footage of a couple of them I'll play later, but we'll get on to that's not the first story I want to talk about. First, I want to talk about Massachusetts and the 5-day event of ICE rolling in on Massachusetts, even with the mayor of Boston, Mayor Wu, saying that they're not going to help them out. And even the chief of police said they're not going to cooperate with ICE. What's wrong with these people? But it didn't really matter because the 5-day event operation, it's an operation, it resulted in 370 arrests of illegal migrants with convictions or being charged with another crime other than just crossing the southern border. More and more people getting out of here. Now, I hope President Trump does a little defunding of Massachusetts for their insubordination, pieces of shit that they are. How do these people get elected? What is wrong with this country that there's even people who even think like this, who think that we shouldn't have a secured border, or that the last 4 years they tried to shove something up our ass that is downright evil. And I hope never happens again. But as we've been talking on a few live streams this past week, my man Killer Carl right there is one of them. We got to get these little elections so that they don't affect the big elections. Case in point, anybody watching this live stream or sees a recording into this in Wisconsin, got to get out and vote. Don't vote the wrong judge in. It's gonna, from what I understand, it's gonna affect some Senate seats if the wrong judge gets put in place. So saying that, 370 arrests, and not only that, they arrested another grad school, college student, whatever, that's here on a F1 visa, participating in pro Hamas, and she's a Turkish national, and it was pro Hamas and something else. Let me see if I can remember. Maybe I wrote it down in my notes because it was serious. Because they snatched her up right off the street. Her name is Ramasa Oster. So she's pro Hamas, and also she did some demonstrations on the campus promoting the death to America. So she's here in our country on an F1 visa to get an education, and she's participating in pro Hamas demonstrations with the slogan "Death to America." I'm glad they got her. I'm glad they arrested her. It's the same thing that Khalid guys. It's underneath the same umbrella. That individual's got to go. How you doing, Minnesota? This is ridiculous. These people come here, get an education, and they say, so many people come here for education, but yet we're like one of the worst ones in the world as far as our level of education. And maybe that's just K through 12 education. The college higher learning may be different. I don't know. I haven't really seen a study on what that brain level of grad, by the time they graduate and get whatever they get, bachelor's or whatever they're after. But all these people come here and then they think they have the right. I guess they don't read the agreement they agree to when they get these F1 visas. So she's going to go bye bye, as she should, just like the Khalid guy. He's going to go bye bye, as he should. You know, it's hard to be reasonable with this far leftist side of our country because they're not reasonable people. I've been saying, we've been talking on a couple of live streams. We need to learn by example. We need to be as nasty and mean as they are because they're going to do it to us no matter what we do. So you need to fight fire with fire. About the only way we're going to win. We can't turn the other cheek. It's not even possible anymore. They won't let you, to be honest with you. You walk into a restaurant, got a MAGA hat on or a T-shirt. They tell you that, like just recently I seen where an individual walked into a Mexican restaurant and the white girl who worked there made a big deal about it, saying that doesn't have the right to enjoy the cuisine, sorry, of the Mexican flavor because MAGA people hate all Mexicans and want them to leave the country. Brainwashed. There's a severe amount of retardation in this country. Severe amount. Self-induced. A lot of them wasn't born that way. But they got indoctrinated. And we allowed it. It's our fault too. We allowed it. Sleep at the wheel, as they say. Now what are we going to do about it? Here we are. We got to do something about it. Fight fire with fire. Now I'm so glad that, because I've been saying you can't sit on the sidelines no more. You got to get involved, get organized, go to these protests, be anti-protesters. And it's so cool because so many of you did. In some cases, the Elon and Trump supporters outnumbered the Doge protests and the take down Tesla, Elon Musk protests. We outnumbered them, which is what it has to be. It has to happen this way. We have to go at them with overwhelming force. We know we have the numbers. We know they can be dangerous, but we also know that there's a severe amount of badasses in the MAGA world. Now, I ain't saying start nothing. Absolutely not. Do not start anything. But a lot of times, you ain't got to start nothing. They're the ones that spit and throw things, push, put their hands on you. I just watched a knockout video just before I come on here. Individual went up and took his sign and smacked this individual in the forehead with it. He knocked that motherfucker out. You know, these two girls that was with this individual was mother effing this dude to death. Like, you didn't have the right to do that. You didn't have the right to do that. Bitches, what constitutes the right? You smack somebody in the head with a damn stick, which is basically what it is. You have every right to unleash some sugar honey iced tea on them. And then when they wake up, maybe they'll be a little bit more respectful next time. Now, I'm not counting on that. I'm just saying maybe. It's a possibility. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take these people to be held accountable, prison time. If they decide to get physical with you, there's a price to pay for that. For the last, actually last longer than 4 years, they've been able to do all these things without any consequences for the most part. Violence, vandalism, threats of all kinds. But the Jasmine Crockett did not get her birthday wish, did she? Nobody was able to take down Elon Musk on her birthday. These protests, for the most part, were severe flops. I'm glad to see MAGA showed up. That's right, Minnesota. That's exactly what I'm saying. If they are dumb enough, and they are dumb enough. Uh, so just remember this: if you go to these protests, do not expect to have some kind of meaningful dialogue with these people. Uh, Try not to engage in these shouting matches with these people. Uh, Let them run their mouth, and pretty much, if best way you can do it is either smile or laugh at them or something, because that will provoke a physical response from them because they got that derangement syndrome. They're retarded. Be prepared. Oh, and make sure you record it because many times they've been caught, they've been recorded, and then you hear them bold faced lying right to the police about what actually happened. And if those things had not been recorded, you pretty much know who would be held responsible for that. The mean, evil MAGA people. So if you go, make sure somebody's filming all this. I highly recommend it. If anything, it might bring up a couple good memes you can throw on X or something. You know, maybe get you a couple million views or something that's just hilarious. But don't do like they do and do something that would incriminate yourself in front of the camera because that's what kind of retardation they have. They cannot help themselves but record their dumb shit. It's how a lot of them get fired from their jobs because the incident itself usually don't get them fired. It's them going on TikTok or whatever and uh, describe what they did and why they did it and who they did it to and oh they deserved it and blah blah this and blah blah that and then they end up fired and then they'd be like you people you claim you're not you're tolerant but you did this to me you got me fired bitch you got yourself fired. Shut up, grow up. Retardation running rampant in this country. Gonna have to re-educate a lot of them, but I don't know where to begin on that one. That's above my pay grade. I have no clue. All I can do is get on here and espouse my opinion, and it is what it is. Sometimes it's not a popular opinion, but it is my opinion, and it's probably felt through most people the same way. I mean, articulate it a little bit worse than some people would, but you know, what are you gonna do? Hey, Brant. Hey, how you doing? So I'll play some videos later of some protests that were flops. I seen a commercial. I guess it was a commercial with Beta O'Rourke, Beto, and Tim Waltz, Tampon Tim, uh, talking about how they're going to have to take Texas back. All these Republicans are afraid to show up to these town hall meetings because they're afraid of what the people who voted for them got to say about it. But we all know it's ambushes. It's bullshit. It's ambush. What's this YouTube? Let me see. Yeah, YouTube. Every if they're protesting for like against Doge and Elon Musk and even President Trump, they are unhinged. They are misinformed. But the information's out there. They can learn. There's so many people that started out on the left that is now on the right, or at least leaning a little bit to the right, because they started doing a little bit of research. And once you do the research, you can't unsee what you find out. So if you are honest to yourself, you can't keep those same points of view that a lot of these people keep because they drink the Kool-Aid. If they just do a little research, if they just turn the TV off and start hunting down information, factual stuff, full length interviews, because that's a lot of the time that's clips. They see clips, and when what's to say, you tell a lie enough times and it eventually ends up being considered the truth. And that's what they do. They tell the lie over and over and over again till they're brainwashed. And then when you explain to them, that's not true, and here's why, they can't comprehend. Their brain is broken at that point. They got that Trump derangement syndrome. But, what are you going to do? So, Mike Waltz uh, has put out the whole deal about his staffer that actually put together this, and he's taken responsibility. He says, I should have double checked this list. Come to find out, this Wu, it's funny because the mayor of Boston is, her last name's Wu, and then I think this person's either Wu or Wong. The staffer, and about how he's married to a woman who was in the Biden administration, I guess. The deep state, they've entwined themselves. Think about that. You got somebody who's obviously a left leaning person working for the right, for a Republican, if not to do anything else except throw a wrench in something or to hope to overhear something that they can leak out. When they vet these people, they need to vet everything about them. I don't think they go deep enough. I mean, if they'd have just found out what his wife did and who she worked for, that might make them think that this is not a good fit for my office. This staffer is not somebody I want working for me. And let's be, I guess, some cases the staffer could be honest and just like, okay, me and my wife don't see things eye to eye, and I want to work for a Republican. But you can't take that chance anymore, can you? Because they're evil. They will perpetrate a lie, a big one, just to infiltrate, get inside the Trump administration, to get inside. It's the staffers that's the deep state. We've heard this before, haven't we? It's not who gets elected, it's who is in their office, who's their staffer, because those people are there and they just change offices basically. A lot of staffers work on the left and the right. They don't care who they work for, except for if they have a political point of view that is not, aligned with the person that they might be working for at the time. They can't help themselves, but if they hear something, they want to leak it out because they're still batting for the other team. Yeah, Sam, they are evil. They drink the Kool Aid. But see, staffers. Here's the thing about staffers, guys. They're not uninformed. They're not misinformed. If you got a staffer in Washington D.C., they know exactly what they're doing. They're doing it with a lot of thought. They're not low IQ, most of them, and you just got to. They got to vet them better. They that was a that should have been that was an unforced error of that conversation on that Signal app being out there, but it's an improved form of communication for the government. It was already approved to use. They had no information in there that would give any warning to who it was going to be, who were they going to do the missile strike on. Just that what's happening, not who it's happening to or where it's happening. Not even the assets that give them the intel on where to hit. So it's a lot to do about nothing. Now, Tim Waltz, sorry, Mike. I don't even know you, brother. You could be good, you could be a bad person, but to call you Tim Waltz is my bad. I gotta apologize on that, Mike. But still, he has taken the blame from this since day one. And all you hear these politicians do is Pete Hegseth needs to resign. He needs to be fired. What the hell for? Should he have double checked who was on that communication thread? Probably. Did anybody else catch it? No. They just assume when they delegate something, like he probably delegated that to Mike Waltz, and Mike Waltz delegated that to a staffer. And here we are. It was an unforced error. It was a learning moment. Pete Hegseth does not need to lose his job over this. And it's very offensive that at least two Congress people asked, was he drunk at the time he was doing the text messaging? Why? They didn't seem incoherent. Usually when somebody's drunk, the messaging's incoherent. They're acting like he was like maybe drunk, just putting that information on the Signal app. But it was an approved government communication. It's ridiculous. But this YouTube, Alberta seems to be the state that is ready to break away from Canada and join the U.S. They expect a referendum on this very issue within a year. They feel badly treated by their government. Well, it was their prime minister or whatever they call him for Alberta that said that he's going to inflict as much pain as possible on America since these tariffs went in place. The actual person that the prime minister that took Trudeau's place said that they're going to reimagine their trade partners to where they're going to reach out across the globe and find other trade partners and not have to trade with America anymore. Good luck. A lot of the products you make are products that were basically based out of here first. If we can't get our products into those countries, I mean, you're making Fords and Chevys and stuff like that, and international trucks, and I mean, if we can't get them sold in those other countries, you ain't either. If you do, you'll have to pay a tariff to them. They're going to lose on this one. And I said not too long ago there, YouTube, that Canada's so big that there are parts like Alberta that is completely separate from the rest of it. They have their own borders like states, but they also have their own internal government for each one. That's not just like a state government. It's like a big deal. But Alberta's very liberal, from what I understand. I'm not quite, I'm not 100% sure because I'm not all knowing about Canada things, but you know, they need to check out their options. Uh, the guy that's running Alberta is not doing them any favors by threatening to cause as much pain as possible to the American people. That's that's an odd thing to say. It's one thing to say to cause as much trade. Uh, oh, what's a good word to use? Not pain, but like uh, hardship. Basically, trade hardship. I guess I'll use that word for the moment, uh, but not inflict pain on the American people. They're like 12% of our trade, and we're like over 70% of theirs. So who's actually going to get hurt? The things they make, most of the stuff they make, we have companies right here, especially like the automakers. All they have to do is just increase their production at their plants that they have and make up the difference so they don't have to pay that tariff. Make the product right here in this country and sell the product right here in this country. That's kind of the idea of what President Trump's trying to do. So we've become, even the manufacturing here, think about this, guys. I don't want to get off too far on my subject that I'm on, but think about this. All we do is assemble things. We hardly ever make the actual pieces and parts of each vehicle that's being assembled. And I'm just using cars, automotive as the example here. All the parts are made in other countries. The engines are made in Mexico. Stuff like starters and alternators and stuff like that are made in China. I mean, all these parts are made, and so all these parts get shipped in from other countries, and all they do is get assembled here. So what happens if we have a economic falling out with these other countries, and they just decide not to sell parts to the U.S. anymore? All the assembly plants will stop. They will not be able to go forward because they won't have any parts to put on because we don't make the parts. We assemble. We need to get back to making the parts. We have to be a manufacturing country, not an assembly country. We're a service country, and and all we do at our factories is assemble stuff. That's got to change. It's going to hurt for a little bit. Common sense will tell you it'll be worth it, but try to explain that to these retarded people. That's probably not a correct word, is it? Retarded people that has a problem with the shrinking of government and the shrinking of our debt and trying to keep illegal aliens in this country and taking the sides of these foreign countries with these trade deficits that we have with them with all these tariffs. Retarded. Completely retarded. But we'll move on. So hopefully something will work out on this Signal app deal. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. A lot of people think Mike Waltz ought to step down, or I think at least find out, did he have this individual in his contact list already, or did that staffer add it all by himself? Because that will make a difference, in my opinion, to whether I support Mike Waltz or to whether I say he's got to go. Because if that reporter was already in his contact, got to go. The same thing I'm talking about that Stafford. Got a wife that worked for the Biden administration. Can't trust him. Got to go. Out the door. Don't let the doorknob hit you. Or the good Lord split you. Get the hell out. We can't afford these unforced errors. We ride a thin line between getting something done and progress coming to a complete freaking halt. We got to do everything we can to keep that from happening, guys. Everything we can to keep that from happening. Organize. Get involved. Get involved with your local elections. Get involved with fundraising. Get involved with trying to get people to register to vote. Get involved. It starts at the bottom and works its way up. It's not trickle down. It's trickle up. That's what we got to do. Y'all like my mic? Killer Carl got me this mic. I hope it sounds okay. At least in my earpiece, it sounds pretty good. So I seen where at least Stefanik took one for the team and decided to, with the president asked her to do it, to back away from the nomination of being ambassador of the United Nations and go back to her spot in Congress because the margin is that thin. We can't afford to lose any seat of any kind, and we've already lost one in Florida. Or it's possible we're going to lose one in Florida. Sorry, but I think Pennsylvania we lost one. Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks, Carl. Once again, thanks. So tonight's wasn't going to be that long. This live stream, I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk about these Elon takedown. Jasmine Crockett did not get her birthday wish. Who in chat thinks that bitch has got to go? Give me a thumbs up in chat. Thumbs down if you don't agree with me. Thumbs up if you don't think that girl. She does not do Texas any justice whatsoever. None. Trying to act like all hood rat. I'm more hood than she is. She don't know what it's like to be in a real hood. There you go. That's multiple thumbs up there, Minnesota. Thanks. But yeah, it's all fake. I say it all the time. All these politicians, fake rage. This fake deal about this Signal app being the worst security breach in this one congresswoman in her lifetime. The worst one in her lifetime. Are you kidding me? Did she not remember Afghanistan? That's just one of many. There's all kinds of security breaches. I mean, look, 11 million across the southern border. That's a security breach. That is the worst security breach in our lifetime. Deliberate open southern border and a porous northern border. So when these Democrats get up there and they spout all this fake outrage, I just want to look at him and pardon my friends. I just want to look at him and tell him, shut the fuck up. But we got to counter. We got to do counter information. We have to try. I ain't saying we'll succeed. Re-educate these brainwashed people who drink the Kool-Aid. And if you can't have a meaningful conversation with them, then you just can't. Don't try. Because they always say there's 20% that you'll never be able to change their minds because once they've made their mind up, they can't fathom that they're wrong. They can't handle the fact that they might be wrong. So they won't accept it. They go in this sense of denial. So no matter what you say to them, no matter how many facts you give them, you've probably heard it on videos before. Somebody will be spouting off facts to somebody and they'll say, I don't want to hear your facts. Facts ain't got nothing to do with this. Retarded. Facts has everything to do with this. Because we're talking about a country that in the last few years can't even tell you what a damn woman is. They'll tell you 2 plus 2 equals 4 is racist. I'm telling you, the weak-minded has taken over the asylum. So we got to come out. We got to do our part. Can't just step back and say, I voted for Trump. I did my part. Who knew? That's just the beginning because he's only going to be there. Now, remember, if we don't win midterms, it's done. If we don't win midterms, it's our own fault. It's done. Whatever happens after that, we deserve. If you don't do your part, if you don't get as many people to vote the way we need them to vote, and then we don't win the midterms, what is it they say? You deserve it. We deserve what we get. In the position that we are in right now, it is partially our fault because we were asleep at the wheel. I was asleep at the wheel. We allowed this to happen to our country because they did it in little increments over time. Just in the last few years as it went warp drive. But over the last few decades, they've been doing little increments. And it's enough to go, that's kind of odd. I don't really agree with that. But, I'm getting up, I'm doing my job, I'm raising my kids, whatever. Okay. I don't really agree with that, but okay, that's one little, don't be a one subject person or, how they say, when you vote, don't vote for just one thing. Like a lot of people voted only because of the abortion issue. Don't be a one issue person. You got to look at the big picture. But see, they did it little increments, so we kind of let it happen and happen until now. It's now the bullshit's overflowing out of the bucket. We damn near lost this country, people, and we ain't out of the woods. We damn near lost what our founding fathers put together. People may not like our history, but we truly are, considering all the different places, everybody that lives here came from. All over the world, it created this country to make it the greatest country in the world. We've pulled more people out of poverty around the world than any other country. Nobody else can say that. Nobody. But we're mean and evil. We don't like them people come across the southern border. Why? Because they don't look like us. The hell they don't. They look like a good portion of this country. That was never the issue. Democrats, though, no matter how absurd their messaging is, they're consistent. Gotta give them that. They are consistent. Don't let them do it. Do your part. So saying that, I got a couple videos, like I said, the takedown Tesla, the March 29th, day of protests around the world at all these Tesla dealerships and everything, did not go the way they planned it. And it's kind of funny. So I got like a couple videos I want to play of, like patriotic trucks driving by and trolling them, with a shit ton of flags, and people having verbal interaction with them, and their brains are kind of melting. So let me pull those up. We'll play those when they're done. We'll talk about it for a minute, and then we'll roll on. And I got an announcement at the end here. I hope I don't forget to say it after I get going here, but about next week's live stream. So let me go find these videos real quick.
How stupid can they be? At least 50% of them are using Airbnb. Isn't Airbnb part of Dodge too? He's one of the people. How many of them are going to stay next weekend at Airbnb? This is the most stupid group of people I ever seen. What Elon Musk is doing for this country.
Stupid internet. Come on.
Is saving it so people can have Social Security 10 years from now.
I believe you said they're going to have more.
What?
More Social Security. You just announced that.
Absolutely.
Ma'am, where are you from?
I'm originally from Israel, and my husband is from England.
Yeah, I'm from England,
We
yeah.
immigrated to this wonderful country 40 years ago, and we are proud American. And Elon is a proud American. He's saving this country. And these people are stupid. Each one of them, about a year ago, was driving their Tesla, their environmentally correct Tesla.
All of a sudden, it's not environmentally correct.
Suddenly, it's not environmentally correct to drive a Tesla. How stupid can you be?
Also, I'd like to add to this, the people who call Musk a Nazi have no idea what a Nazi is. A Nazi is somebody who tries to kill Jews.
We know who Nazis are. I'm Jewish. I know, but I can't.
I wasn't talking to you. Can I speak?
Nazis are. Half these people are
don't know
Jewish.
what
I
Nazi
know
is.
my family died in the Holocaust.
Yes.
So don't tell me I don't know what Nazis are. Oh, everyone knows what a Nazi is.
See, this is exactly what they try to do. They try to shut you down while you're making a few points.
Yeah.
But let me carry on. So first of all, Musk is a visionary. America is lucky to have such a talented guy as Musk. Also, the idea that he's cutting back down on government inefficiency and fraud. Clearly, there's a huge amount of see, this is what they're like. Yeah,
They're shouting a disrupt song.
yeah, they can't have the fact that somebody's getting some facts out here.
So, sir, I'm going to give you a...
By the way, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to these guys. Musk is. People should be very glad to have Musk here. He's a great guy, and these guys are pretty much crazies. I would say they're very, very crazy.
And you're an immigrant. They're shouting at an immigrant right now.
Yeah, I am an immigrant. I'm proud of America, and I'm proud of Elon Musk. He's a great guy, and the fact that he's doing this for no money at all, Musk is a hero for America. And if you listen to how these people behave and their wild accusations about everybody being a Nazi, you realize just how pathetic they are. That's all I have to say.
They're forming an angry mob around this immigrant right now.
And
I
they
have
came
no
yesterday.
idea.
No,
Listen
that's
to
a
me.
fact.
I know for a fact that there's massive waste in the U.S.
So you
government.
think that curing cancer is a waste?
That's a nonsensical thing.
It
You're
isn't.
just trying to
No,
throw it.
that's a fact.
There are
He
millions of
cut
people who,
thousands
for the
of
government,
researchers.
I can
Thousands.
guarantee you
Thousands.
I can guarantee you there'll be no delay in the cure for cancer. And by the way, what's this guy been doing for the last 20 years?
Unreasonable people. Exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Unreasonable. Now this one here, this is them being all crazy.
We just learned that a 70-year-old man was arrested after Meridian police say he hit another man with his car during today's demonstrations at the Tesla dealership in Meridian. Police say 70-year-old Christopher Talbot of Meridian made an obscene gesture towards a counter-protester and then hit him with his car. Police say the victim had been driving a truck with pro-Trump flags and had just parked and gotten out of his car when Talbot hit him. The victim, we just learned that a 70-year-old...
Crazy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Crazy. They drink the Kool-Aid. You have to be aware. I'm not saying there's not risk if you go to these protests. You see how these protests ain't that big either. Not for a national call out. This is like one of the bigger ones. A national call out for the day of protest against Tesla. And these
Oh, here he comes again! Wow!
see the blue hair.
Look at that American truck right there! Wow!
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So it was a flop for now. Some of them say they succeeded. I mean, some showed up. Don't get me wrong, but that one where the English gentleman and the other young lady, I can't remember where she said she was from. Anyways, those the people behind them, that person in that dinosaur suit and all that, they were paid to be there. So a percentage of that crowd was paid protesters. They have to pay them. They can't get them out on their own. They got to pay them. You get a few crazies who want to yell and scream and shout, and then the rest of them are just there. Have you noticed? You'll get like, I mean, there's probably a couple hundred people there, right? Uh, and three people out of the couple hundred were the ones that you couldn't have a conversation with. Those are the dangerous ones. You know what shocks me too is look at the age of some of these people. You would think that if they were my age or older, that they've been on this earth long enough to know a few things. It's kind of disappointing that they act the way they act and they believe what they believe. And the only thing I can say is they were probably stupid people when they were young too. And I mean, honestly, if they're my age or older, I mean, I didn't think I had a bad education growing up. We learned the basic reading, writing, arithmetic, history, and all these other things. I don't feel like we were indoctrinated about anything back in the day. So where do these people get these points of view that they believe so much? Low IQ people. They wasn't born that way, I guarantee it. They became retarded over time. CNN and MSNBC and places like that done fried their brain. All the millions and millions of dollars dumped in from the other side to get that messaging out. No matter how absurd their message is, you got to give it up for the Democrats. They are consistent. You know, drive that message home. Drive that message home. I mean, to the point where if common sense, let's take the Signal app deal, calling for Pete Hegseth to be fired. Common sense will tell you if you paid attention to any of it all, Pete Hegseth really ain't got nothing to do with the, unforced error that happened here. But they're still driving that message home because they want him out of there. They're afraid of him. The more they ask for something like this, the more you know they're afraid of him. You know why? Because they were trying to indoctrinate our military, just like everything else. These politicians on the left were turning our military weak, allowing certain things to go on in the military that if you go, when you join the military, you join that military to be prepared to fight, not do hormone therapy or gender reaffirming surgery or wear dresses when you're supposed to be wearing a male's uniform. You join the military to fight. And if you can't accept the rules of that, because that is a distraction. Everything they've done, especially in the last 4 years, everything's a distraction. The invasion from the southern border, the indoctrination of our military, because they were really hoping to get our military minds twisted enough that it would go against its own people. But they couldn't take the chance. So at a last-ditch effort, they made a deal with Maduro down in Venezuela to release all his prisoners out of their prisons and ship them north. Our government did that. He did that at the request of our president, President Biden. That's treason, in my opinion. Now I know he's old and feeble, but he didn't pardon himself. Examples need to be made because they surely don't care how old Trump is, do they? They'd throw him in prison in a heartbeat. People need to be held accountable. They really sold us down the river, and we let them. You know, Andy, on on the subject, I was talking about the military. If they'd have followed the rules, nothing says that they can't believe what they believe. It's a mental illness. I know it is. You all know it is. But as long as they followed the rules and did the requirements and not ask for all this special treatment, because that's the problem. They don't want to be equal. They want special treatment. They want something that not that we would ask for it, but they want a certain type of medical care that if you had something wrong with you, you wouldn't get the same thing in that form as far as the cost of it. Because it's selective. That's selective stuff. That's not you have to have it or you're going to die. It's selective stuff. All they said in the military is you show up, you follow our rules, you can serve this country. You can't do that. We have to think about everybody else that's in that platoon that you're in that squadron. We have to think about the rest of them because those individuals are just distractions. Takes away from making our military ready to fight. Now, y'all probably seen where Vice President J.D. Vance went to Greenland. And if you listen to the news, you think he was approached with a lot of negative, like protesters, something like that. That's not what happened. And it's a good possibility within the next couple of years because Greenland has the right to vote. Now, Denmark says they're not going to let it happen. That's a bold statement, isn't it? Somebody who relies on our military to protect them to tell us that if Greenlanders voted on it and said that they wanted to partner up with the United States, that Denmark has the balls that says they're not going to let it happen. I don't know what to tell them. Maybe we need to give them a free vacation down to the Gulf of America. All right, guys. Got an announcement. I got the individual from our local town here in Springfield, Ohio, on all things Haitian. He's going to be here on my live stream next Sunday night. I won't put out his name yet. You know how it is. Some people back out at the last minute, and I'm not going to go through too much information because, if he's not going to be here, I don't want his name out there. But he's been severely involved in this, deep involved in this, far more than me. He's been on Fox News. He's been down at them town hall meetings up on that podium. A lot of times his conversations up on that podium that went viral. So he's going to be talking to a couple other people and see if I can have a more, it's just going to be a casual conversation. Two Springfielders talking about the Haitian issue. What happened, how we get here, and what's going to happen going forward. Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah, see, that's the thing is, so all these people that are so cocky, when they rely on our military to protect them, and they can't rely on NATO because even though it's multiple countries, we control it. We can pull our funding from NATO and they wouldn't be able to do anything. Easy, yeah, if you're local, you probably do know who I'm talking about. I just give you a hint. He drives a school bus. If that helps you, then you can answer yes or no. You know who I'm talking about. But yeah, so if you guys are curious about the Haitian issue, how our politicians sold us down the river and made us one of these towns that they came to with open arms, they invited them here, invited them here. And not our current mayor now, it was the mayor before him, but he was the assistant mayor at the time, uh, and he's enriched his pockets a little bit by having them here. And this is and our current mayor is ashamed of his whiteness. He knows because he's white, he has this unconscious racist streak that runs through him, and he hates himself for it. Uh, Unconscious, which means you're not aware of it. I'm sorry, but if you ain't aware of whether or not you're racist or not, you're just a freaking moron. You shouldn't even be a mayor. Retardation. He's a Republican. Our governor, same thing. They all have ties to Haiti. It's all about the money. All about the money. Now, our downtown looks very nice. Very nice. They've spent a lot of money in sprucing up the town. You know, it looks good. But go to a Walmart. Go down to our local uh, jobs and family services and stand in line. Drive our city streets. You do it at your own peril. You got to watch what you're doing. Otherwise, you will be involved in an accident you don't want to be in. And more than likely, nothing will happen to that other individual. Yeah, easy, wasn't that just this past Tuesday? If I'm not mistaken. You know. So if you're interested in that, guys, I don't want to prolong this too much. I don't want to stall the conversation. I like to try to keep it flowing because sometimes I pause and stutter a little bit because I try to think of the correct way to say something without looking too bad. But I am on Rumble. But on Sundays, I also am on YouTube, so I have to watch what I say. So, guys, appreciate you all stopping in. I enjoy this. This is like one of my favorite things. Next to Saturday night, Killer Carl on Rumble. Not that he needs my help, but if you don't follow him on Rumble, Killer Carl. It's a good time. It's free for all Saturdays, 8:00. I'm live streaming daily. Trying to do Monday through Friday daily. Sometimes I think I may take a Friday off, so it may be just Monday through Thursday. Thanks, Minnesota. I appreciate it. But I will try to do it daily. That's my goal in the mornings on Rumble. Empty Pockets Podcast. And coming soon, I'm keeping my car channel on YouTube, but I'm going to migrate my content on my car channel over to. I haven't named the channel yet. I haven't figured out. I don't know if I want to call it the same exact thing as my YouTube channel, but my car content is coming to Rumble. So if you don't want to do anything with YouTube and you want to follow my car content or my live streams, you'll be able to get it all on Rumble going forward as soon as I get this other situation figured out how I want to do it. Yeah, Papa. I don't know. don't get the white guilt thing. Uh, they're indoctrinated in to think that they should feel guilty. I don't feel guilty. I didn't do nothing wrong. I can tell you right now, I know my family history. My family did not do anything that would be part of what they say is the part of the American history that's not that good. My family had nothing to do with it. I don't feel guilty at all. I don't understand the people who do. And even if they do come from the what 5% of the population owned slaves back then, uh, that's 5% too many. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I'm just saying it's a small percentage of the group of people that they like to think that everything was built off the backs of slavery, and that may have been the commerce back during the colonial days, but that's not what created the explosion that made America America from sea to shining sea. It was the pioneers that packed up everything they had, what little they had, and headed out to the unknown to make a life for their families, to start a farm, a cattle ranch, a sheep ranch. To me, that's what created America. You know, the first 13 colonies, that could have never went any further than that. If it wasn't for the pioneers, they could have stayed just at 13 colonies. And then the Indian nations could have had the rest of the country or even Mexico. You know what I'm saying? It took the pioneers to explore, to get out there, the adventure of it. Self-reliant. That's what made America. And then the industrial age, around the turn of the century, that's when it really took off. That basically, until recently, 5 minutes ago, that was the American foundation that most of us know, as far as our ancestors. We knew enough of our ancestors that was alive at that time could tell you about working in the factories and the steel mills and the coal mines. That's what built this country. It was a little bit of all of it. You know, it's a little bit of what happened pre-Civil War, and there was a lot of what happened after the Civil War. There's a little bit of all of it, good and bad. So the guilt's for suckers. If they convince you to be guilty of being who you are, you can't control what you are when you're born. If they've convinced them to be guilty of that, then they're suckers. Sometimes I think they just say it just because they think that's what the other side wants to hear, and they don't want the confrontation. So if that's the case, then they're pussies. So they're either suckers or pussies. It's another conversation for another day, guys. So if you don't catch me during the week on my live streams, Empty Pockets Podcast, I try to do it every morning. Sometimes I try to do it by noon, but I'm trying to work it out where I'm doing it by 8 o'clock. Can't guarantee it, though. You never know. Next Sunday, tune in. Everything goes the way it's supposed to. I'm going to have a member of the Stop the Influx of the Haitian invasion, Springfield, Ohio. We're going to have a candid conversation. I may not simulcast that on YouTube, guys, because the content will probably give me a strike on YouTube. So it may just be a Rumble only. So if you're watching me on YouTube, go to Rumble. Follow me, Empty Pockets Podcast. Because YouTube overlords don't like this conversation, and we can't be candid about it on YouTube. So, and I don't want the individual that's going to be here to be stifled by the language police. So, till then, guys, you've just heard the rest of the story. My name is James. I'll catch y'all later. Till next time, I'm out of here.